welcome to Friday. It could be morning, afternoon, night. It could also be we want to say it could also be Saturday morning, depending on where you live. Depending on where you live. But anyway, we're gonna get into a whole lot of different things. Talk about that game last night, and so I'll be on for about a minute. Got some stuff to do today, but I'm gonna be on because I said I was coming through. So we got see who comes through today. I saw Spike Lee and all that, so we just gonna get into this real quick. Saw that game last night. What's up? Your timing is perfect. I just got on. I got you know what I do. What he done this time? I haven't even paid him no mind. I've been so busy having to deal with these conspiracy theories about the Knicks. What's up with the old RG3? Oh, of course he is. You didn't know that about old Wiley, Mister. What is he? What's Ralph Wiley? What's not Ralph Wiley? What's Marcellus Wiley? Part time Michael Eric Dyson and part time Suge Knight with a Jason Whitlock spin. That's kind of like how he is. He's like Suge meets Eric Dyson meets Whitlock. That's what he is. That's how I would describe him. You got to tell me the latest. While they say, well, they always do. That's nothing new. Brittany Griner has always been kind of rough around it. Never mind. I mean, yeah, but what's his point though? What's his point? He played football. He gonna act all sensitive like he don't hear guys say stuff from the football field. Whatever. Don't, that's not so surprising. You know, they always use slurs on the field. They've never stopped them before. Like, oh wow, really? Not quite. Not quite. Griner got traded for a Russian dude who was a known take you outer. Remember the deal to get Brittany Griner out of the Russian penitentiary she was in? Her dreads were bigger than the sail. Remember? Her dreads was hanging out the sail. Not exactly privileged when you were sitting there for 9 months for about this months of what she had to do that bid for. He really said, oh well, that's no surprise at all. I guess I'll do a video about it, but I'll do that later though. But that's Marcellus for you though. I don't really see that she has black privilege. I People just be saying anything now. Yeah, he's pathetic though. I mean, I have to do that one, but it's all because of Caitlin Clark and they did the Slurp Fest and this agenda that's at work. I did see the play. People say stuff in the heat of the moment doesn't mean that they despise the other person, but he's looking for something. He definitely trying to get his come up. I don't know what he up to. I'm proud of you for roasting though. Right on, Ted. Cause he, you know, I can't make up his mind if he wants to be part Michael Eric Dyson, part Suge Knight, part Jason Whitlock. I don't know what. And his bag is all cut. I heard about that. I'm not gonna touch that. I ain't gonna touch it because, as I said yesterday, as I said, he's a broke version of Antonio Brown, but that's where he's headed. And Odell Beckham, that's where he's headed. That's where he's headed. Oh yeah, what I didn't get to say to you was Bradshaw talking about sushi. That's the one that's his big word to use. Yeah, we know what Stefan's about. Stefan ain't been about playing no ball. That moment when he looked at Kansas City celebrating going to Super Bowl that first time, that's the last time Stefan Diggs was checked in on the field. Because if he was smart, he would have stayed his butt in Houston with C.J. Stroud as opposed to going to New England. I don't know what's that about. Oh, he very uppity. He always bougie. He's like that character. If you ever seen House Party 2, I don't think you did. Not, yeah. He didn't play went to college. There's a scene in there where the light skinned brother was all bopping his head. That's how Wiley is. He just like a character. And I don't pay him no mind, but I'm gonna do a video about this though. But he got a lot of nerve though. Basketball players are basketball players. You can't say nothing. Okay, so there's a scene when the guy was sucking up and he was trying to make mockery of kid because you know what he's trying to make behind his back. So he old suck up. He's a notorious suck up. That's what Marcellus. He like some old college cat that because they told him he was good enough and they pat him on the head and gave him a cookie and let him play golf in the club. He thought, oh, he's part of it. He's so fake. I mean, he's so fake. He be faking it. He fakes the funk. But that's what they like though. That's what they like. I am not shocked. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you, KS. What's up? Well, my cousin today sent me what was that wrestling match where the chick is on the ground and the chick is just slapping the cheeks and then her face is in it. And he sent me this thing and I said, oh yeah, that's that McMahon cheeks for checks therapy going right at work. That's what they do. Well, yeah, we ain't gonna say nothing about what her husband will give a speech about how that worked out and why he's basically the Trump of the wrestling entertainment industry. We not gonna talk about that. That's too easy. Her husband is no different than Trump and no different than Epstein Island. And I could go on and on and on and probably at a Diddy party and you know how it is. Do you really think Hulk Hogan is the only one that's like that? Do you really think that? Now, if you think you grew up with wrestling being racially segregated with not a lot of brothers, what do you think I grew up with? Yeah, I can go tell you about Big Cat Ernie Ladd. I can tell you about Junkyard Dog who had to turn to Stagger Lee and Tiger Conway Jr. and Tony Allen. We had a handful. That the era I watch wrestling is when Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, those things happen. Those things happen, unfortunately. As a father, that's a tough reality. That happens. That's got nothing to do with his racist ways. Yeah, but my point is that when I was watching wrestling, yo, we didn't have a lot of black at Kamala. We didn't have a lot. At least when Booker T comes out, he's a TV champion. I'm telling you, a lot of stuff that you didn't see came along when you started watching it. Believe me, it was Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express and the Pavement Express. They weren't pushing brothers. I'm trying to keep you. I'm just trying to share a lesson on a moment in time. That's all. And they weren't. And he doubled up his Stagger Lee, the Junkyard Dog did, and he was big. But they was pushing, Magnum TI and Sting and all that, because he was in an era where that's what he did. Now, there's truth. Two things can be true. Yeah, but he also kind of had to do it. 'Cause I think I want you to understand how segregated it was. You didn't have what you got, It ain't a lot much better now, but then it was really worse. Wasn't that long ago, you know. See, I'm just trying to tell you this. When you're looking for black heroes or people to root for, stuff like that, they didn't give you a lot of that. And when I talk about the institutionalized systematism of like sports and what have you, I ain't playing. You know how you look at the quarterback position in the NFL? That's really been the last 15 years. But that's like the norm. Think about it. That's like the norm. You've seen this in your lifetime. The Rock came in the last 25 years. What about in the 80s? When I saw Roddy Piper and all them, there wasn't no brothers getting no love. Not like that. You can look it up. I'm telling you, they weren't pushing them like that. They weren't pushing them like that. Because we know about Hogan and Ric Flair. Yep. So if anybody ever comes up and says, well, the yelp, exactly. Even though Samoans and Mexicans and Asians got African in their DNA. We ain't gonna, this ain't his this ain't History Channel, and I'm just saying it's all part of the family. But somebody get upset, but it's true. But it's true. It's true because we weren't getting a lot of love. I remember watching his wrestling. I used to watch Mid South TNT because I didn't really mess with WWF too tough because it wasn't, with Vince McMahon's thing. We had Teddy Long and what we had Hacksaw Butch Reed. We had cats, Ron Simmons. We had the brothers. The South did, the East did. Now you always talk about how they talk about how the open minded the East was and the North was. Now when it come to wrestling, the brothers was wrestling in the South and getting the bag. They weren't getting no love with that. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100. What I remember. Somebody can always come along and say, "Oh, well, no," but feel free to correct me. That's not how it was what I was watching. Yeah, it just was you know. Oh wow, these Knicks fans is coming. Boy, they think the Knicks are gonna come back. So they played their best game last night. Let me address that real quick when I made the headline. They played their best ball. They have to play like that. They have to find a way to not let Halliburton get off. They can't let the Pacers even have a lead because if they fall behind, they just played the ball in front of them. But how come it take y'all 100 games to wake up, Tibbs? I don't know. Yeah, he was wearing his Malcolm X outfit. Yeah, he really hoping. Well, because he know that it's a. Well, listen, I do emphasize with him as a Buffalo Bills fan because you always think it's gonna be your year. I know he is. If he gets hit good time in the leg, he done. He's showing a lot of grit and toughness. But if they don't have him, they don't have a chance. That's what they signed him for. So Pacers ain't got no thugs though, because they had some thugs. Somebody roll him up. I'm just saying. Believe me, if what's his butt, the one that blew in LeBron's ear, if he was around, he'd roll in the leg, and I know Metal would too. Oh, I can't think of that Turkey's name. He used to play funny guitar too. You know what I'm talking about? He did. I've been around watching Spike forever in the day. Spike did. She's got to have it back in um, '86. So I've gone back with Spike forever. All his films, uh, he's an interesting cat. You know, some things I'm cool with, some I ain't, but he cool. What about Gilbert? Because I see Gilbert trying to get on that ESPN plantation. So what's up with old Gilbert? Spike had a little fro. He did. He was rocking it back 30 years ago. I remember when Jungle Fever was out, and he was rocking it for a minute. Yeah. Because that Reggie Miller and him was hilarious. All that was hilarious. Because what they laugh about in unison can get you fired. That's why you do watch what you say in some of these spots. But that's a fact. He ain't say nothing that they didn't believe. They end up firing RG3. Now, didn't they fire him too? All that shuffling boarding that he be doing, he got fired. So, what you want me to say? But I'm hitting this on Rod Parker anyway. Rod Parker just bought and paid for O2. Talking about LeBron's the second greatest player and all that nonsense. He spends half the time dissing him. Always got a problem with Curry. I ain't trying to hear all that mess. I told you before, them heads on sticks be saying whatever they say on them networks. If you want to hear real content and creativity, come here on these streets. Because RG3 is a cornball and a dung ball at that. Trying to bring his wife to co-sign because he can't wear his big boy pants. So he's like, bring your pants over here and let me, come on, help me out. He is corny, man. Sat there and watched him and the wife. That was horrible. I didn't say he was. I said he politic. I'm gonna say he did that, but he politic because this whole that LeBron being the second best and all that mess that you say. Oh, he worse than Toby. He worse than Toby. After asking his wife to hold his hand because he made a statement. Co-sign it for me, please. Co-sign. Look, she ain't line up on the huddle. She gonna sit there and co-sign that you just mad at Angel Reese. And look, I mean, it's really pathetic. Sooner or later, you gonna get RG3 fatigue with a cornball. Remember when he was talking about Daniel Snyder? Yes, the master's house is down the road. I so happy. The owner broke every law. I don't care about that. I mean, listen, if that was the worst of his problems, we can always donate some hair care products from him. That's the worst. That's the least of his problems. He just doesn't, he really goes out of his way. And I got a problem with that. That's my knock against him. That's the worst. That's not even he just doesn't, you know, I can't take him serious. He ridiculous. And that's what they pay. And that's what they're gonna keep putting him on. See how corny he is on the college football takes. We'll see. That's what they hire him for though. They want you to act. So I've already talked about Joe Rogan. I had a Spotify podcast. Sometimes I do music on there. That whole mess when they had to go there and I would go upload because they said the content was because of him. They never held him accountable. See, cats like him and Fuentes benefit from Howard Stern and Dynamis, and they were the ones who instigated. A lot of that been allowed. So it's nothing new. It's just in podcast formation of now. It's nothing new. They've been the ones who've been able to use that and say it. So it's been there. It's nothing new. If you're into podcasting or radio broadcast, those conservative cats, those are the ones who've been able to been saying all that mess. I think it was a cat named Cal Thomas. So if you watch those cats, this ain't nothing new. It's just hitting in the podcast world. Um, Depends on who you're talking about. Cat's party. You know, they didn't have the financial. We'll never know what it's like if everything was all put together as such. But they don't really have to because it's been coddled. I mean, there's money to be made and people pay top of the line. I can't fault the players in an era where TV money, revenue, stream, all that money is huge. What are you gonna do? They reward mediocrity, they pay, so what you gonna do? He's talking about first of all, two things can be true. He right, but he's also wrong. And right in the sense he right about that, but it was a different time and also different athletes. But I'm gonna tell you this as I tell anybody, and no matter what form of entertainment, there's always those few that go that route. So don't lump everybody as one big paintbrush, because SGA obviously keeps getting better. Um, when Rory McIlroy won the Masters, he kept getting better. There's always guys, Shohei Ohtani. So don't lump everybody as the same. It's just not as much, but there are still a few that get it. I know. But it don't always mean that you get called great, because Isaiah Thomas won rings and he didn't get the same endorsements. See, it's a popularity contest, and it's always it depends on who you are. It depends on who you are. You know. But I understand what you mean by the totality, but they don't operate under the same morality. Did you hear me say that? Understand the totality, not the same morality. But there is more, but that's on the owners. That's on the superficial pushing the ESPN clip, pushing the TikTok type of clip. That's all. 90 Barkley. That's not even that close. I thought KG had a great year, but I didn't think he was the best player. But Barkley was up for MVP or playing. You thought he was in the yeah. That Barkley era was tougher, and you knew that Magic and Jordan aside, he was in that conversation. There, he was there with them. I never felt Kevin Garnett was with Shaq and Tim Duncan like that. Barkley's problem was two things. He didn't keep himself geared in shape all the way through, and he had a lousy teams. Yeah, I know. I remember. And that was kind of nonplussed because when the Lakers played them in the Western Conference Finals, I thought that was like being an air conditioned cruise control because Minnesota put up no real fight. They weren't going to beat the Lakers. And, he won, he got it, but, you know, that's why when LeBron says he was the best player in the league, I'm like, in what capacity? He was in the top five. He wasn't better than prime peak Shaq. No one looked at him like, and Kobe was right there, and then you had Duncan. Now I give him top five, and then you can put Jason Kidd and Iverson, but he was not seeing, you know, not to me, not to me. I gotta say, David Robinson. I thought he played great. I thought Robinson had, you know, and I think Robinson was a better player too. He was a better scorer, and he uses athleticism to his will. Now he had some soft tendencies sometimes, but to me, David moved me more. I like Patrick a lot. Patrick was tough, but Robinson just moved me a little bit more of the two. Patrick Ewing's biggest problem is he never had the guard play, and he never had that. He never had that pure shooter. Missed out on a Bernard King. Missed out on a Michael Ray Richardson or something like that as a backcourt with him. All due respect to John Starks who played out of his mind, but they were always missing the guy for firepower. They didn't have it, and that's one. And as a leader, it's the things that he also missed on. He tried to shoot fadeaways and finger rolls. I like how they lost to Rick Smits and the Pacers. So I, for me, eyeball test, I'm gonna say RG3. I like what Cam did. I remember the 300 point. Funny how he came out with the game against first those two games where he threw three bills and he thought, oh. But RG3, man, if it wasn't for Shannon, I mean, he looked like he was the guy that I thought that pre-cap and Russell Wilson and that. If you don't understand the mechanics with your timing and your passes, it can be. At least with snow, it's just staying still. With rain, you got to throw into the elements, and then that ball can feel like a log. So it's also how you hand coordinate. You remember the Super Bowl with Chicago and the Colts when old boy was Overton and was fumbling left and right against the Broncos. Yeah, somebody can't handle the rain. The elements can definitely mess you up. So it all depends, and especially if you're thrown a certain way. Yeah, because Kyle Orton and what's Rexy Grossman. Rex Grossman was always one of the best quarterbacks. If the football field was 95 yards, he'd been one of the top three quarterbacks ever. Except that getting that red zone and he be choking and gagging. But yeah, and some cats aren't equipped for those conditions. So it can. It depends. I like his podcast. I watch. Oh yeah, that's why ESPN mess with him. You know, because that's why I remember him and Frazier, Kimberly Frazier. Remember that whole she clowned his outfit, and when he said that Purdy was a game manager and Dak was, but he broke it down and everything came to be. Yeah, except for them child support payments. Him and Nick Cannon be trying to give each other a run. Stuff be wild too. I watch him. Just like I watch Mason and yeah. And he ended up getting the job and she had to sit there and suck on her lips. She's like, because they hired him. Because everything he said came to fruition. He called it on Dak, he called it on Purdy, and he called it. I was like, oh yeah. Oh, he hit that. That was fire. And she, her hair curled. Oh yeah, the man played pro quarterback. I mean, duh. Don't you think he kind of like can see things? She was trying to clown his outfit. I'm like, look, that ain't nothing to do with nothing. Shit, that brother knew what he was talking about. You just had to take that L, Kimberly L. So they hired him. That's all they've been doing. They've been going on YouTube, taking people that they be fit that they know bring numbers in, and then they bring them on there, and then that's what they're doing with Gilbert. Even though Gilbert's takes is like listen to Kanye and Fitty, his stuff be corn. Wow, he acts all conservative and smooth on TV. Well, I'm gonna tell you a reason. Cam played pretty good. He fumbled against us. They just didn't have the talent, and they were in a few games. They weren't that bad. I mean, he wasn't that bad, except that you're coming behind Brady. Except the pandemic, playing what they were. He had a couple. He just made a couple of turnovers. He wasn't the worst thing they had. Mac and Cheese took his job, and that's the worst. And Cam just that was more for window dressing. Think about it. Gotta get a black quarterback, get a black head coach. That's why Robert Kraft wanted to look like he was progressive. I think he's slick too. I know you're going to mention Brisket, but Cam was a starter. But Cam at the time was older and long in the tooth. Remember, he's 5 years from his Super. Cam got a team to a Super Bowl. What you going? I'm not going to sit up here and lie. Josh gonna have a better career stat wise and all that, but Cam got his team to the show. He's in the Super Bowl. I got to go by what the 15-1. Josh Allen went conservative. He went Peyton Manning conservative this year with less passes and all that. What was I supposed to take? How am I gonna do with a guy who had a 15-1 record, MVP, and led his team to a Super Bowl with less talent? Because James Cook is a better back than what Cam had. I mean, I'm just keeping it 100. Now, you didn't ask me who was the better for their career and all that. You said the prime. I'm giving it to Cam. That was heck of impressive. He was a league MVP. He was a Super Bowl participant. Yeah, he was trying to act conservative. That was at Peyton Manning when Peyton stopped passing the ball so much and handed off. Problem was, cats drop balls and they still look beatable. And because their defense, the money needs to go get some front on their defensive line. That's the problem. They should have lost that game to the Ravens. But, just saying. So I call it like I see it. I don't call it based on I feel it. For me, you talking about for the whole career? If you're talking about for the whole career, it's Fitzgerald. If you're talking about for a window, it's Calvin. Because Megatron for a window was a beast. And he was putting up some crazy numbers. But Fitzgerald for the career, I like Larry. And Larry's one of those cats that you just wish he had a Warner ring and you wish he had been in a better situation. Because he was the truth. Yeah. I say for window, but Fitzgerald for the career, you know. I have to quantify that. So sometimes you hear me say that. It's like if I got asked about Bobby Brown and Usher, give me Bobby for the window. Usher had the career. I'm going to say the receiving because rushing. If you're Jamal Lewis, remember 500 yards every game against Cleveland. Remember that his 2,000 yards, and he's the only cat I know that makes 2,000 yards seem like it was because Cleveland was so horrible, and he about nearly got half his yards just playing them turkeys twice. Whereas being a receiver, if you're the number one option, everyone's gonna target you. They're gonna keen on you, and you got to be really doing something. Sometimes you're gonna have your games, but you're gonna have games where cats gonna, you know, try to get at you. So you have to find ways to do it. So I think, 10 picks, because sacks can be manipulated. And like Michael Parsons, you can manipulate with safety blitzes, stunts, and all kinds of things. And you play against about 3 or 4 scrub teams, you can walk around about 4 or 5 sacks. Now I forgot which quarterback it was. The cat gave 3 interceptions. It's hard with an ints because again, packages and you know, I think it's harder to get more sacks like that. I do of the two. Sacks is a little more. You can play against 3 or 4 scrub teams. If I get to beat up on Cleveland, Jacksonville, and the Raiders, I may walk out of there with about 4 sacks each game. Shoot, that's so you got 18, 17, 18 game season where you got 9 sacks right there. Duh. Man, you know, but I'm not saying that ain't a great accomplishment, but there's ways more now with that. But with the picks, you know, it's a guess. And as bad as the quarterbacks are, it's still, you know, I think it's harder now 150 catches and 15 touchdowns. It's going to be the receiving part because quarterbacks got way more, they got way more options now. You know, you got way more opportunities, especially if you're in that groove. You can always see a cat that's in that groove. Mahomes in that groove, Manning's in that groove, Brady in that groove. You got way more. And there are way more quarterbacks I could see doing that. 150 catches and 15 touchdowns. You know, you a lot has to really, again, yeah. And how many cats gonna do that? That's why Jerry Rice's ruck is gonna be pretty hard to get. Even there's gonna be a lot of cats that's gonna have some numbers, but you understand the dominance and total. And he did that in the harder era. And nowadays, the receivers don't have the longevity once did. So I think the touchdown. Yeah. And now he's with Seattle, and now he's kind of on bended knees. He's kind of like boys to men because ain't nobody gonna put the front on him no more. They went and got Capone, the replacement. So and he's out with the Ram. Think about it. And he was supposed to be a stud a few years ago. So this goes to show you. So good questions you asking. You can feel free to tell me you agree, disagree. I don't mind. But I think it's tougher for receivers today. Oh, 96 Bulls. Come on, man. Come on. Ryman would have a field day with Halgram. I'm not seeing anything about the Thunder in the low post that I'm like, yeah, they score and they're very athletic and all that. But Jordan and Pip, come on, the way the area that they cover, no. The Thunder got smashed by the Timberwolves in the game, and they were struggling with Denver with a 2.5 man team. So no, the Bulls would have figured that out. Phil Jackson's triangle would have, and that's where SGA, ironically, if he had a Phil Jackson coaching his style, he probably wins about 2 or 3 more MVPs. If this, because but I got the Bulls got him. Defense, the bench, the flex. Ron Harper and Kukos would be a problem coming off the bench. And I'm not sold on Chad Holmgren like that. Not yet. He can prove me wrong in a couple of years. And if they win a chip this year and they come back, he can by all means because he's got the size, athleticism. But he's the one. He's the one because SGA is gonna be there. Well, you're gonna be crying for quite a while because you high maintenance and you probably didn't just ran your options and you didn't see it too much. Well, yeah, because you see, remember something. You ain't 25 no more. 18 through 25, and then you're older, and cats ain't cats ain't giving you the time of day. You ran your mouth, because there ain't unless of course someone wants to really pull the magic carpet ride. And everybody's saying he should stay in the East. So he's in a real crunch because man, I feel bad for him. I mean, he's stuck with Dame. Dame might not come back, and Dame comes back. They still ain't got much, and then you stuck with Kyle Kuz, and you stuck with Doc Rivers. I'm like, and y'all don't know how to do anything with Brooke Lopez the right way. So you ain't winning no chips. So I don't. I entertain him looking elsewhere. I do. You know, but you know, there's a few possibilities. You know, still say if you went to Golden State, hey, I still think that would have been a sick move. But Luka wouldn't have done much with the Bucks though. Dallas wasn't gonna give that up though. I don't know. If they wanted, it would have happened. But I think this was Adam Silver call personally, because the lottery kind of. I think this was done, calculated. I do. That would have been a really great move, but I think this was a calculated move. The problem though for Giannis though, if he went to Dallas though, got to play with Kyrie and them. I don't know how that would have worked though. I don't know. I think him and Kyrie would be interesting, but Clay is washed, and I know the Dallas ain't got much else. So he pretty much be in the same predicament he's in now. But yeah, if you're smart, you want him. He ain't won nothing yet. I'll tell you, they don't let the Pacers win. He gonna have a field day. I don't like Knicks fans at all. So they got to make sure they win the next game and don't lose. Okay. Yeah. Well, as long as he don't play like Emil Carr, that's what he looked like last night. So he better not wait. He better not turn into him. And they're not good fans. And now you know answer my question. I saw more than enough with the World Series. Because that was uncalled for them. So yeah. All right, everybody's on here. Feel free to hit the poll up, hit the likes up. It's got me and Ted kicking it today. So some days people come on more, a little different days, but it's great to have you through. At least I got somebody came through that's on point. Thank you. Yeah, because he felt like he didn't do nothing. But he came through in scrimmages and practices, and he was a big body. He's one of those kind of cats that, like I told you about, he sets picks and you get a headache, and he make a couple shots, and you know, you call him the deacon. But let me give you something. While he was a bum, he sucked as a coach. They stunk. We don't talk about that. He was not Casey Jones. And they tried to give him a job. That towel got musty and funky. Didn't work. His NBA coaching career ain't but much better than Derek Fisher's. I was with Magic on that old towel waving turkey. But he was in good with them. All I ever saw with him was teeth and a towel. That's all I ever got out of him was teeth and a towel. least if somebody's on the bench, you want to respect them, not some turkey that just, yeah. Okay. They ain't no crossroads. They in the middle. They in quicksand. They ain't no crossroads. Crossroads means that you got to make decisions about people that you might have to part with that you're gonna be sad you're going about. They in quicksand, yo. That ain't gonna do nothing. That's not gonna move the needle. He can't stay healthy. Lamelo can't. He's athletic. The reason why you make that move is because you're trying to attract some youth. Because what you got ain't working. And I told you, cats like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, if you had a low post presence that was effective and you kicked it out to those cats, then you look like you got something. But this ain't the 90s. This ain't the Shaq D, 3D, Scott, where you got the cat. You might have to if you want to get something because you might have to make a move that no one saw. And they might consider trading him to Sacramento for Sabonis. They got to get athletic scoring. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, they're not gonna, But the problem is that they tried to conform into what they weren't. Yeah, the Sabonis would be a good fit with the Heat. Are you kidding me? Triple double every night. Shoot, if I could make that move, I'd make it. You want to get athletic, quick, and good, quick. First of all, Bam is a strong sidekick, but he ain't an alpha. He can shoot nicely, he plays tough, but he doesn't give you next level. Sabonis is nice, yo. He can score. He athletic. They need to get athletic, but they also need to make a presence. They have no presence. There's no respect from the Heat. That's why they're getting beat up. He cool, but it depends on what your mindset is. If you're trying to win now, you make this move. If you're gonna weigh it out, it depends on what you're talking about. But I'm trying to tell you, as a Heat fan, they're not at no crossroads. They're in quicksand. There's a big difference. Crossroads is kind of like that's what Giannis is at. Is at a crossroads. Does he stay? Does he go? What does it mean for his legacy? The Heat ain't got that situation. He part of the problem because he thinks he can still pull this Rod Steiger. I'm gonna talk in this tone, and I'm gonna turn it on, and we gonna get it back. And he has a mind that's still strong. The problem that he runs into is that the game has changed. It's younger. It's quicker. And by the time he got to the Golden State way of life, that got old because the God teams are younger. So now he's stuck with a middle aged team that's had postseason. Obviously they went to tie here, went to two chips, Duncan Robinson, but they don't have that. They never did get that other problem resolved. So KD for what? You sound like those cats on their heads on their stairs. I don't want no Kevin Durant. Shoot, I said who I wanted. I want Sabonis. I don't want no KD. KD old man. Come on now. To get KD, that means you got three pieces, and KD might can help you out. They get him for what at this stage? Just to put some booties in the seats. KD ain't that dude, huh? KD could probably try to click on with Houston, or probably click on with Cleveland, or probably click on with OKC, maybe somebody like that. He'd only go somewhere that's contending. He ain't gonna go nowhere that's pretending. There's nothing Miami could do for him, and there's nothing he could do for Miami. He's 10 years past his peak in his prime. Can I say that? That dude that was on all cylinders from what 20, what 15, 14 to 2019 ain't coming back. Yeah, he'll get his 30 plus thousand points. I'll give you that. But as far as winning chips, that toe on the line was it. What up? Well, I'm a conspiracy theorist, TSP, so I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Silver sees to it they'd be a little lean. But I don't think they should. I think the Pacers are the better team, but but the Pacers are known for being, till they finish them off. I hope they do. And the NBA wants a story. Believe me, they want at least one team that can go to finals that they like. Yeah, he has no choice because he's wearing out his starters. That 2.5 man D'Antoni system, how it look. You're tired, you're lethargic, and you got one guy where his leg is about done. The other guy, you're gonna burn your guys out. He just didn't get to do his usual. But if he comes out and attacks and does what he does, that's all it comes down to. I don't think they came in. Yeah, I don't think they came in with the win anyway. And everything is compartmentalized, but it's still growing pains. Yeah, he ain't SGA. Yeah, SGA ain't gonna take no night off. So we'll see though. They better win tomorrow night. That's all I know. You don't want to have to go back to New York and play no seventh game. Yeah, they are. I think the Pacers finish them off tomorrow. The Knicks aren't that good no way because every series got to go 6, 7 games. I mean, come on now. You struggle with everybody. They wild, but the Cinderella-ness of the Knicks, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it because I don't feel that they merit that kind of team. It'd be one thing if I thought they were a legit contending team, but I just don't sense it though. Okay, they're not winning the chip. They're not winning the chip. But if they did, then I bet you they attract somebody that you least expect. But they're not winning the chip. I don't see it. I don't really buy them as a. They're too flawed of a team. They're one of the most flawed teams I've ever seen. Now it would do wonders for Tibbs' legacy. He'd be bigger than Tom Coughlin if he pulled that off. That would be, a movie that Spike Lee would have to make. That would have to be in production. Only if you unload about you gotta get rid of Cat and Hart and probably about 2 or 3 pieces. But Giannis and Brunson would be sick. They sure would. It's like tomorrow, Tibbs would get all this forgotten. Matter of fact, you see more cats walking around with his comb over on TV. They had be walking around with the Tibbs look. I kid you not. The 3 strings of toss the top. They would. Ain't no jokes. It's true. Because that would carry crazy weight. Crazy weight. Tom Coughlin would be like Tom Coughlin who? I kid you not. Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would. It would be sickening. It'd be sickening. Like I said before, just as a basketball fan, I don't see them that good. So it'd be one thing if I saw something, I go, okay, they merit that. Not, I look at them as a good team, work hard, but nothing special. I mean, they should have gone 6 or 7 with Detroit. They struggled. They shouldn't have beat the Celtics, and they struggling. I mean, that's all it is. And if you don't put them away, they feisty, but they're not the kind of team that you go, oh wow, oh yeah, well that's all true. But they can't say nothing. But this was embarrassing this year though. They blew two big leads, 3 games in total with two big leads. What's happening? What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? I don't think I can't. They won game 5 fair and square, but it would look like a script reading if they went to 7 games. Thank you, Tig. Yes, please hit the like button and keep on taking the poll questions. We need all the support I can get. Yeah, that's their best game last night. Where was that at? Yeah, small market. That's where in their neighborhood from Kansas City. That makes sense. I think the Pacers got a good team. I think Rick Carlisle's a really good coach, but they gotta finish up. Can't play great. He's been good this postseason. He's been consistent. It's just that I don't like the sets they run. Charles Barkley said it the other night. It's true. They just don't do smart things. Tisby, letting guy he does some balance. That's all. But I mean, I'm not gonna knock. I just think that what I see in Ted Carroll, yeah, they lose the series. It's got more to do with the fact that the Pacers were the better team, and I think the Pacers are the better team. It's just that the Knicks been resilient, cardiac, but everybody knows what's gonna go 6 games. Neither one of these teams can just outright blow each other out. So I just don't sit around and think, oh, this team is this special. No, I ain't got no. They gotta make a decision about the guard play. I think Michael Conley's done. They gotta get a guard in there to centralize Gobert and Ant. They won't come out like Game 5 because Indiana will meet them the intensity. I think the Pacers were ready to go home. He'll only demand a trade if he feels like he can't win there. But they gotta make a move though, because I mean he's in his peak in his prime, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. His dominance is getting wasted. So I expect something. Jamal Murray, them, there's gonna be some move coming. If I was Jokic, I might consider it because you may have hit your peak in your prime. You're 2 years removed from a chip, but you keep getting knocked out in the second round. We ain't got nothing they want. We'd have to get rid of half the team. They show up. They first of all, Tom, they not exactly a championship team. They ain't working with what they got. They got to make a move. He's wasting away. He's looking at Giannis. Same situation, pretty much. Putting up MVP. Yeah, it was Brown, who's now with Orlando. They just missed a couple finite parts off the bench, the starters, but they had it. They ain't got it. And he's getting worn down. Look, he got to go against Zubas and those kind of centers every night. You know, so that's the problem they run into. And they don't play no defense. So you gotta remember, if it wasn't for Aaron Gordon, they would have been a first round casualty. Let's keep it 100. He say they behind. I trade Jokic for Giannis. Jokic ain't playing with LeBron and Luca, so you can kiss that goodbye. And you'd have to give up over half your team to get Jokic, so that wouldn't work. Not off the hand, but if Luca wanted to sign and come to Denver, if he wanted to come and sign to Denver, because he could be a free agent, and they unload Luca to the Nuggets with Jokic. Oh yeah, my noggin be working, yo. It's a blockbuster move that would make logical sense for both parties. Both would thrive in both those systems. Because the way Denver plays, Aaron Gordon with Giannis and with Murray on the out would be sick. Jokic comes over and if Dame Lillard comes back, he'll thrive in Denver. He thrive in Milwaukee. Style wise, it worked. That wouldn't work with the Lakers because you had to get rid of everybody. I'm not in no pro Laker form, so you're not talking to my lingo. That wouldn't work because Luca could have to go to Denver, not Jokic come to LA. He come to Denver, they can build around what they got. He didn't have to unload everything to come to LA. That wouldn't work. Those two together, mixed emotions. They get in each other's way probably too, because Luca ball hogs too much and Jokic handles on the perimeter, so he ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing. You gotta have something to get something. If only if you said Jamal Murray to Houston and you unloaded, okay, I'll give you that. Not for the Jokic. And Denver will be giving up way more than the worth. You mentioned Jamal Murray. Stick to potential, then I'll give you that. Jokic to Giannis is the only thing that makes logical sense to me. You got to give up a lot. Jokic will command a lot. So you can get him. You can get rid of him now for like a pack of chewing gum. Depends on what team we're talking about, though. Now, no, so I can name you teams that wouldn't do that. You go to Washington, that wouldn't happen. Go to Atlanta, that wouldn't happen. Jokic with Detroit with Cade Cunningham would be very entertaining. That one, he's not going to do a whole lot of shuffling and movement, though. He's a loyalist. So I don't know what you're going to do. No, that's not going to work. They'd have to unload everything they got. Now, if Cade could get somebody to tag team up with him, then you got your version of the Eastern version of OKC. Because Cade to me is the next link with Halliburton. I like Cade's game a lot. They just need a sidekick. Give him a sidekick, and let them other guys, Hardaway Jr., Tobias, then they could definitely be 2 or 3 rounds problematic. That's what they're missing. They need somebody that can create offense with Cade. Then they'd be a legit team. But I'm not gonna just say names to be throwing them out there because it doesn't really. You gotta. It's only a handful that can complement that. It's only a handful that can complement that. Luke ain't gonna go to Detroit though. But I just said hypothetically, if Jokic went to Detroit with Cade, that'd be sick. Outside presence, low presence, ball movement. You know, yeah, you pitch another 20 years, you got a chance to get it. It's not gonna really make a difference. He's a Hall of Fame pitcher regardless. He's not someone who has to get it. He's getting it because he's that good. but his resume speaks for itself. So he's HOF, as far as I'm concerned. He was HOF with 250 wins because he got the World Series. He's got the, you know, he's got the resume. He's gonna probably be one of the last to get it though. Yeah, I could say he is. I think Zach could be. I disagree with you, Tom. They already look like trash. I mean, Kyle Kuzma, what they stuck with. I mean, they got ate up by India in the first round. They don't play no defense. Well, yeah, and Verlander's again. If you play around long enough, but it's really not that big of a deal today. The standards are lower, yo. 250 wins is pretty much the certifiable now. So you might get someone that goes through the cracks, but it's few and far in between. But the Bucks already are trash. I mean, they're not a good team. If Giannis doesn't do what he do, they and they're not that good of a team. So I don't, they already. That's why he's even contemplating a role now. And the Nuggets, again, wrong coach, wrong system, and it almost feels like a fluke that they won. I think what's my call it, Miko here is they gotta make some moves, attract a shooter, attract a couple bench parts, hope Kyrie's healthy, hope AD can hold up. It's a lot of hope, not a lot of good, but I think that draft pick with Cooper Flag will be beneficial. I think they'll be a legit 6 to 8 seed if they're healthy. I don't know. He must have said something about somebody's mom or something. I don't know. That's a head scratcher. So it's hard to say why guys aren't in. Baseball's a strange politics system. But anyway, Ted, the Mavs, I'm sure once Cooper Flag gets in, you got to see how it is, Kyrie, all that. They're at a real, now you want to talk about a crossroad. That's crossroads. Because you got the old and the new, the battle tested guys, the guys that nobody wanted. So how you going to make that work? And if Clay, Kyrie, AD, and then you get Cooper Flag. So that's crossroads. And then you got to figure out how to make that thing stir. So Jason Kidd got his work cut off him. But I think they can make a move or two. There's a steal in there somewhere. He was great. And old made me think about Marbury Mayberry with Andy Griffin show. He was all Andy Griffin show looking Turk hat. Could pitch. So I don't know what's on with that. I don't know. Yeah, but he's still Hall of Fame bound. I mean, his postseason, his regular season speaks for itself. That's a topic that again that shows you how baseball's so full of it. They're two of the greatest ever. I don't know if they both will get in at the same time though, because I think they want to make an example out of people. That's what they want to do. I don't really like talking about baseball Hall of Fame politics because it's so absurd and it's embarrassing. The whole thing with Pete Rose was embarrassing. Oh yeah, for me, yeah. In my lifetime, top 2 to 3 because he was dominant in Boston and dominant in Toronto and with the Yankees and Houston. I mean, come on now, the cat was bad. You know, but this ain't what we talking about. But yeah, for me, yeah. 50-50 about the Knicks. Okay, that's pretty good. People coming to their senses, so that's good. Let me see how much time I got left. And what else is new? I mean, that's kind of like a given. If they let him do that, then you know the league is fixed. And this is a plot. But I've already told you it's not about basketball. He just embarrasses himself the longer he plays. Now, they'll give Rob Parker credit on that. He should retire after this year. The Bills got Joey Bosa, right? Right? So the Bills got right. Give me a one if it's a yes. I just want to say this for emphasis. So that's all I got to say. Oral was. Schilling was like Robert Ory. His postseason, bananas. Regular season, he was aight. But Oral was the truth both sides. That's not enough for discussion. If you saw Oral Hershiser in his peak and his prime, that ain't enough for discussion. But Schilling in the postseason went another gear. He's got that Robert Ory, Eli Manning thing going. I told you I wasn't excited about the Joey Bosa move. If it was his brother, I'd been a different matter. You know, I had to deal with his old antics and his racist ways. But Joey, look, I saw them with the Chargers with him, Khalil Mack. And them cats went out there and must have caught sunburns and suntans or something because it wasn't on the field. It was not. It did not. No. So no. That's why I didn't get excited about it. That's why all that money they spent on Josh Allen, whatever money they didn't get some that line got to tighten up. Got to tighten up. Yeah. Well, that's what they're gonna do. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to talk football now? Okay, so you want to talk football? I'll just go to say this real quick since you want to do this. Throw this in. Beat the legit teams. That's all I got to say for Green Bay. Nothing else to say. Tell Matt LaFleur, Mister Part Your Hair, you better start beating the legit teams, or you won't be around long. Cause your nice 12 throw-in seasons gonna look very suspect. Like you stat pat and you can't beat nobody legit. You can make a case for him. I mean, him and Clemens. You can make a case. I mean, he was bad. He was bad to the bone. I mean, he was tough. You know, they're the two that come to my mind. If Clayton Kershaw's a pitched legit in the postseason to match the who I call the Peyton Manning of pitchers, he would be in that argument too. Yeah, but his butt is in trouble because they just be winning against and they don't win no games, and that's the problem I have with him in Green Bay. Baseball had different rules, and you never know. He may say something about somebody's mama. Don Zimmer was looking like Porky Pig. That was hilariously wrong. But Pedro wasn't going for it though. No, baseball had different politics. Tion could have said something. You know, it's so much written rules and unwritten rules. You can't even begin to understand. The Baseball Hall of Fame is a joke, and what they don't put guys in that should be blatant. Yeah, well, if you, like I said before, pop off to the wrong one, you get that two-piece sandwich. And Pedro dusted his behind off. But I'm here to tell you, you don't want to mess with Pedro. Pedro was one of those guys. He knew his locations, so he wanted to go for your head. He would. He wasn't lucky. Sports entertains those kind of family members all the time. I mean, everybody's parents get to kind of do what they. I mean, they do that, so it's not lucky. lucky Giannis didn't go off and split him into pieces, but that wasn't how Giannis was built. So yeah, it could have been. Back in the day, it was hard to make the Hall of Fame. Oh yeah, oh yeah. But again, like I said before, there's a lot of politics. Yeah, but you gotta understand something too. These reporters, like Woody Page and some of these others, they hold your fate, yo. So if you ain't smudgy, smooth, puckering up, there's a lot of things that go on. Look, Gaylord Perry used to throw spitballs, and everybody knew it. Reggie Jackson mocked him back in '87, was mocking him. He got in the Hall of Fame. Okay, Gaylord Perry was non-assuming, got over. Just telling you. I don't care about Mad Dog having a vote, because if Barry Bonds and Clemens ain't in, I could care less who got a vote. All them turkeys need to go somewhere and let people who really watch the game get in. Yeah, but he was tough though. Those Expos always had great talent. They were like the Oklahoma City Thunder of baseball. Why they didn't get to a World Series is still beyond my beliefs. Because when you had Warren Cromartie, Tim Rock Raines, Andre Dawson, Steve Rogers, Tim Wallach, I can go on. Andre the Hawk Dawson. I mean, of course he is. He don't have to get out of there because he got privilege. Come on now. Yeah, they put Billy Wagner in there, and he was legit, but they gonna, like I said before, he just remind me of old Joe Pesci, like when I was watching my cousin Vinny. That's where he put me in the frame of mind. Yeah, but baseball ain't like basketball. Baseball ain't like football. Okay, because just because you got talent and stuff, don't mean you're gonna win all the rings. That's not how it works. Look at the Bash brothers. They won one ring and were in three World Series. Come on. So the Atlanta, Matters, Glavin, Schmaltz, Avery. Come on. So we can't, you're gonna the Seattle Mariners. We had a lot of stories of that. We could just do a whole '90s baseball. What is? So he was a good manager. He was good. No personality, and also not a guy that really makes a big deal. And and it's also an unwritten rule. They don't be pushing brothers like that. I like Cito a lot, and I ain't gonna argue. What he accomplished was great. Cito was, I mean, Carlos was bad, except he don't look like Joe Torre, and he didn't get the opportunities Joe Torre. Yeah, again, it's a popularity contest with that. I keep telling y'all that 75% of the vote is nothing but popularity, and they use who you play with. They make up rules as they go along. Joe Torre though got to manage Atlanta, and then of course with the Yankees and the Dodgers, so he got a more romanticized him. He got romanticized. And he was a very good manager. Great. Cito ain't gonna get that though. Personality works against you too, so it depends on how you are. I told you, baseball is real head and shoulders with you. Yeah, and he got led Texas to two World Series. He can manage, except they ain't gonna do nothing though, because they still suck right now. But he's a good manager though. I remember that because Mitch Williams was old Mister Mullet, and that was hilarious. The Phillies were always in the mix too, and they beat Atlanta the year before. Yeah, it's hard to repeat in baseball. Oh, Kirby was gonna get in because Kirby made an impact. He was a winner. But what state did you know who went after them too? Ozzy was a winner. He was one of the greatest fielders ever, but he was a winner. Came up big. Yeah, Kirby's in. Ozzy changed the course of Ozzy changed the court fielding. Yeah, Ozzy hit that one against the Dodgers. He came up big. I mean, Ozzy was one of those dudes. Every now and then the bat could shine too, but it was a different era. You were a shortstop. You didn't have to go yard. He beat you with stolen bases. He beat you on the base path. He beat you with old school fundamentals. Now, mind you, him and Tony La Russa were always at odds, but that's another story, another video. So, but yeah, Kirby was HOF. He came up big in the World Series. That alone got him in. When he right up there and grabbed that ball and hit the game winning, come on now. Kirby was big time. Kirby was big time. Because he was seen as a stat pattern. He could hit, but he had no. Let me just say this too. Some cats, if they're not polarizing or they don't have no personality or charisma, that work against you too. There's a lot of factors. Baseball is like a modeling agency. Well, Tommy John almost won 300 games, and of course the surgery is named after him. So if they named something after you, you were pretty good. So, um, well, this is the obvious. Schilling, because his regular seasons, yeah, he did, and he had that same pitching arm. He played for a long time. He was always a victim of bad luck. He was with the Dodgers when the Yankees beat him, and then he went to the Yankees, and the Dodgers beat him. So he was always like one step short of getting that ring. But he played for a long time. He had good stuff. But again, like I said, there's a lot of politics involved. Baseball is very political driven, as everything else is, but I mean even more so. Well, explain away David Ortiz. He's in. Yeah, Bonds is the greatest player I've seen because he gave you glove, stolen bases, power average. Oh, a lot of them, yo, a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them. That's kind of because if a guy loses as much as he wins, that's too long. Nolan Ryan fits that description. Tommy John fits that description. Guys in there too, those, So Bob Gibson was the toughest. It was a firing raw bone pre Pedro and after Satchel Paige.